with some men with confidence.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are again. We have found ourselves with three gentlemen at the mics, and it's time. It is time for the Open Mics podcast once again. This is your host. My name's Terrence. I've got two of my partners with me. I'm going to give the men opportunity to introduce themselves, starting off with my man. I don't even know how to address this big guy. He's just like the dude. So, Mr. New Home, I won't say New Home, Mr. Smiling Observer? We still use that? We gonna go with that tonight. What's up?
What's up? It's your boy Rhino, aka Smile Observer, aka the bear your mother warned you about. Saying what's up.
Oh my gosh, he is already jumping in. Okay. And if he's gonna jump in like that, then I got to set it up for my man to bring the heat, the one with the flame at the end of his name. Smokes, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Still laughing at what Rhino said, but let's get it started.
Oh my gosh, right? So, of all the things going on in the world today, all the numerous conversations going on, there's conflict in the world, there's conflict in our country, there's conflict in the rap game. We won't say no names, but I'm talking about you, Champagne Poppy, and the murderous attacks going on him right now. But of all the things going on in the world, there was this one question that's been floating around online. And I gotta admit, when I heard it, I was like, I understand the point, but this just feels really, really ridiculous. So, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, would you rather be trapped in the forest with a bear or a random man? And the overwhelming answers to me were somewhat surprising. And I'm sure people will say, of course they're surprising to you. You're a dude. Yeah, but anyway, what do y'all think? Please tell me I'm not the only one.
Man, I don't even know what to say right now. I much rather talk about Kendrick Lamar's evisceration of Drake.
I knew you were going to say it.
Man, my guy's walking around free after he committed a whole murder this weekend.
Jeez.
But this bear versus the man issue, on one hand, I get it. Women are expressing how they feel concerning men. And if you look at the numbers, and actually somebody did run the numbers, compared to a bear, a man is more dangerous. And we've seen that in the murders, the sexual assaults, the rapes, the brutality that's been carried out on women by men. And I kind of get it. But my problem with this whole argument is, and if you're a woman and you choose a bear, that's your answer. It is what it is. But my whole problem with this question and these types of questions that they bring to social media is they put us all in the same pot. All right. I have no desire whatsoever to rape, murder, be brutal towards any woman. I've been accused of it, but I have no desire to do any of that. and haven't done any of that. So this does kind of leave me perplexed. Like, what? Are you serious? You mean to tell me men are that dangerous? Then maybe you should go live out in the forest with the bears and see how they see how they treat you. And all I could think about is this meme that I saw where this woman is running from a bear and the bear is reaching for her, and the caption is, bears are wondering how they what they did to deserve all these treats. Because a man may or may not attack you, but a bear is definitely gonna eat lunch.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
it just is what it is. If you look at it from uh, a logical sense, but I get it. Women are expressing how unsafe they can feel around men. And again, remember, understand, I totally get it. But please do us a favor and not put us all in the same pot. Because most of us will and have shown the women in our lives that we do love them and care for them. And if you're going to have anybody on your side in the woods, maybe not just some random man, but if it's a man that loves you and you love and you care about, you will be safer with him than you would with a bear. If nothing else, if a bear is coming, be faster than him. Worst case scenario. But
Triple.
yeah, I'm I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. Let somebody else go.
Triple. Yeah. Okay. Tony, what's up, man?
It goes to show the difference between the way that men think versus women think. And I think the thing that gets me is it seems like the women, when they hear a man, that they hear the worst of us can be in the woods with them. Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, you know, Chucky from Child's Play, just just the
Okay.
worst possible dude out there. Instead of thinking the average man versus the average bear. And one thing that gets me is like I don't think that a lot of women think about how many actual men they actually come into contact with in the during the day. Like, and for those of you that have experienced something, from a man in your life, I feel bad for you and everything like that. But like your postman, the kid bagging groceries at the grocery store, the random people that walked by you on the street, random men that just walked by you on the street. Like, if you count all those men and think that you went through the day and none of them jumped on you, none of them did anything to you, none of them hurt you, could you say the same thing if you walked by that many bears? Like, let's say you went past 25 men today and none of them managed to hurt you. But you get in the woods, you walk past 25 bears. Would you say that you would have a good day if you walked past 25 different bears? Random bears, not the worst of the bears, just random bears.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to make this reasonable because it
You
seems
just
like
did. Sorry.
no. You're fine. You're fine. Because it just seems like I think here's the thing that really gets me about it is that and I think this is where a lot of men get tripped up is it feels like a personal hit to us because when we heard the question and we think, okay, random man in the woods, so your average dude, right? And most of us would be like, I'm your average dude.
Pretty much.
So the math, algebra, A is equal to B is equal to A, So you'd rather be around a bear than me? Like, I've been around this world, such and such a year. I ain't never hurt nobody. I'm more dangerous than a bear?
Than a bear.
Man, a full bear. Not Winnie. Not one that eats picnic baskets, but a real bear.
You beat me to it, man. You beat me to it. You stepping on my material now. But go ahead.
Like, not a member of the Yogi Yahooies or the Scooby Doobies,
Right.
Not in the last Olympics.
Okay.
Not at the Wonderland Zoo.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you
But
just stomped on all my whole bit. But go ahead.
But hey, I'll go ahead and pass the mic. Go ahead. Sorry for taking your material.
How about this? Look, man, I had stuff lined up, especially when you made that comparison of walking past 25 men, right? And then walking past 25 bears. In my head, I'm thinking, unless you're walking past Yogi and the Care Bears and the Gummy Bears, if you manage to walk past 25 bears and not get mauled, you had not just a good day, a damn good day. I'm just saying. But you could probably walk past 25 dudes and be just fine. So when I heard the question, my initial gut reaction was to just shrug it off and it's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? But in processing, I'm going to say, as a father to two girls and having a sister and a mom and aunts and wife and women in life, I get it. I completely understand, that there are some trash ass dudes out there for sure. And I'm not even going to go the route Tony went with the Freddy Kruegers, the Michael Myers, the Jason Voorhees, because, Manson was a real dude. What's his name? Gacy was a real dude. So these are real people out there who are committing these serial killings and whatnot. So I get it. And sometimes, like you said, people go to the worst case scenario or to the women who have unfortunately been through some sort of trauma and abuse. I'm not trying to validate, justify, or excuse those things by any means, because that's absolutely trash ass too.
But it should be noted real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
When Gacy's primary target was boys, not women.
Okay, well,
I'm not saying that changes the danger, but it just is what it is.
Well, I was just naming mass murdering people in general, not really trying to get into the specific of it, just not trying to shift away from the fictional characters he was talking about is where I was going with that. But
right. I get that. I was saying that more for the audience than for you.
Well, no, I get it, and that's a fair point. It is what it is. I'm just trying to get on to the point of I understand that there are horrible people, horrible men out there, and to kind of Tony's point, that's the mindset. Seemingly, they immediately go to worst case scenario, and then follow back up with your point of lumping all of men into that category. It'd be like somebody going around and asking a bunch of dudes, do you feel comfortable leaving your wallet around a woman? Or do you think they're all going to go through it and rob you blind? If we lump them all in the category of gold diggers, that would be a problem. That would be outrage. How dare? Same concept, different gender. That's why, I kind of rolled my eyes and shrugged it off a little bit because I get it and I understand it. I totally am not diminishing the point being made of there being some scary random ass dudes out there. It's true. But to brushstroke everybody under that, guys, is like, come on, man. That's just not. I don't want to say unfair. That's just not realistic. That's not true. That's not authentic. So, and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, yeah, I hear you. But if you want to do that to draw in some people and get your clicks up, sure, go for it. You know, not everybody can have real conversations like what went down at Club Shay Shay. You know, Club Shay Shay, on the other hand, that was that was a real conversation that got.
Yeah, that
And Club Shay Shay has had some real conversations with some other guests, but I'm talking about a recent interview with Amanda Seals. That got real. And it was another one of those things. Like I said, there was a lot of things going on in the world and in on the internet and things that have gotten people's attention and people are talking, and that was definitely one. And I felt like that was definitely something I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about as well. I mean, has everybody seen the video, right? Everybody's seen the interview and heard.
Yes, sir.
yes.
Okay, cool,
Watch the whole
cool,
interview.
cool. All 3 hours of it. I know. And it's like, wow, this is like a Marvel movie. But okay, I'm in it. I'm here. We're gonna do this. And well, before I get into my opinion, what do you guys think? What's your take? Hot takes, just off the top.
I personally don't like the way that he tried to, not that he was trying to diminish her experience, but at the same time he kind of was diminishing her experience, because when something is being done to you and with what respect is being done to you, and then to tell somebody about it and to have them say, "Oh, it wasn't really like that." Well, bro, you weren't there. I know what I was dealing with. What? Why would you do that? And I've had that experience over the years, and I'm sure everyone else has too. You went through something, and only to have sometimes your closest, bestest friend just not believe you
I'm
or
sorry.
diminish it, and it's like, come on, this is what happened to me. I know what everybody's motivation was. Why can't you just go ahead and accept that this was my experience? Why do you have to try to apply your own little cleanup brushstrokes to my life? You're actually ruining the painting of my life because I know what was done. And you're obscuring things, you're making it worse. But as far as her not being a likable person, think I think she's a passionate person. I think she loves a lot, and and I don't think she gets that love back. It's like that generous person that gives of themselves. They give her herself, and he gives of himself, but he's just not getting the same in return. And after a while, it could kind of make you feel some kind of way. But
Hmm.
overall, the interview was a good interview. Shannon Sharp is better at his craft than I really gave him credit for. But um, it was a good interview.
Okay. I heard some stuff there. And before you say anything, Tony, I want to jump in real quick because I kind of made a quip while Ronald was talking. And I said, I'm sorry when you were talking about your closest, bestest friend kind of diminishing your experience. And I said it as a lighthearted thing just to kind of be funny. And you just kept going. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, I am kind of sorry because I know me and we've known each other for a long time. I'm sure there was a point in time where I was like, man, you making too much of this. Dude, you probably blowing this up. And that's a real sentiment. So I get it.
Probably, but I wasn't directing anything at you guys. It just is what it is.
I know, but I'm using this as a moment to kind of be cathartic and say my bad at the same time. Because I told y'all these are like therapy sessions sometimes. But anyway, go ahead, Tony.
Totally understand.
Okay, so first of all, I think my take is like wherever Ronald is, I'm like the very opposite of wherever he is. Like I feel like I'm
Okay.
like if he's on the sun, I'm on the moon. Like if he's in the daytime, I'm at night. Like
Wait a minute. I
I'm on the
thought
exact
men were
opposite.
from Venus and women from Mars. How are y'all both on opposite planets? Now, hold on.
Like,
Hold up.
like I'm 180 degrees away from him. Like
Okay.
we go in the opposite
Okay.
direction. Okay,
Okay.
so did you hear? Like right before I started talking, did you hear the friendly way that y'all got over your disagreement and came to a conclusion and apologized each other? You heard that?
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't hear that in 3 hours
Yeah.
with Amanda Seals.
Okay.
3 hours.
Okay.
3
Okay.
hours. She okay. I haven't heard her admit to any wrong thing she's done in the music industry and offend anybody. I haven't heard her say that she did anything wrong when it comes to uh, television and film and Hollywood. Oh my God. Okay. So let's back up. Let's talk about an actual incident. When she started talking about what happened to her when she was a kid and she was in school and she corrected the teacher, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She told her
Okay.
story.
Right.
And she says that Shannon was not respecting her truth or what's the wording for it?
He
Not
didn't
validating validate her reality or something like that.
validating her experience.
Validate her experience. Okay.
Okay.
What Shannon did was he attempted to give a secondary point of view. Right? It's
Okay.
possible for both things to be true. The teacher might not have done the right thing with you, but it may not have been for the reason that you're thinking. Like she said that it was racism. Like the teacher didn't hand her a sign saying, I don't like you because you're black. Like there wasn't anything said at that moment necessarily to qualify it as racism. But what Shannon said was, hey, I'm from the South. A lot of times, and it's not just a Southern thing, a lot of times adults don't like when kids correct them. Would
Right.
everybody in here agree with that? That's a possibility, right?
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing that gets me is she didn't even consider that. And I'm trying not to go. How deep do you want to go right now? You just want to go surface, or you want to go deep?
The point of this was a conversation. You go as deep as you want to.
Okay.
Dive deep, bro.
Buckle up, hold on tight. Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, I've met people like her before. And these are some of the worst people in the world to meet. They are straight conversation bulldozers. They will push you, and they are subtly, verbally abusive. Right? They're not cussing you out. They're not calling you out of your name, but you are not allowed to say anything that doesn't agree with what they say. As long as you participate in the conversation where you're agreeing with everything they say, the conversation will go just fine. But the second you try to interject your thoughts, your opinion, even, an alternate point of view, not even for you, but for them, no, you're attacking me. You're not respecting me. And here's one of the things that I really don't like is that they tend to cloak themselves in something honorable. You're attacking me because, put on coat, I'm a black woman. You're not attacking me because, put on cloak, I got autism. You're attacking me because I'm intelligent. And it's like, it's almost a trap to talk to this person. Like, it's not even safe to have a conversation with this person because they're going to turn your own words against you. And they're never going to really be on your side. And here's another thing I have. Okay, so you're supposed to be pro-black. How are you so pro-black, but everybody you got a problem with is black? How are all these individual black people having an issue with you?
The teacher wasn't black.
Right. I'm that's just one instance, but everybody else after that, like from Issa Rae to people in music, all of them are black and being kept out of black spaces, right? But and I'm trying not to ramble. Here's another thing. Like, I feel like when listening to her talk, I feel like my BS meter is just buzzing in my ear. Like, I hear what she's saying, but at the same time, I hear what she's not saying. Like, for instance, let me ask this. Okay, she mentioned a point where she's brand new to school or something, right? And all of her roommates tore down her name tag and threw it on the floor or something like that, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Did she see that happen?
Probably not. I don't
Can you
think she
imagine?
did.
Can you imagine not one person, not two people, but a group of people collectively going up to a door or to a wall and together taking down a name tag and destroying it?
I don't think a group of people necessarily went up there and did it, but
Right.
I could see a group of people having a problem with. Go ahead.
Considering what you were saying, she may have rubbed somebody the wrong way and they saw her stuff and defaced it. Man, forget her.
But all of them.
She's a jerk.
All of them. But all of them.
Well, okay.
Right.
All right. I hear what you're saying. And I get your point. I want to address that. I just want to kind of interject here because, you didn't want to ramble, and I do want to try and kind of get a word in here as the conversation grows, right? Okay. So I'm going to try and work from where we are backwards through some of the stuff that you said.
Okay.
The tearing down of the name and defacing her stuff at the door. It wasn't seen on her part, so no, she didn't see, and it's kind of hard to imagine a group of people doing so.
Okay.
But at the same time, can I envision a group of people not liking somebody, even amongst like black people, for something specific? Absolutely. Example, and this one I think our third might identify with a little bit as well here. As a person of moderately dark complexion, I have absolutely had people look at me in a way and feel a way about me without knowing me, just because I'm a shade too brown. And I have seen groups of people who were a shade less brown than me hold that against me, name, personality, whatever, unknown. So it's not far-fetched to think that that could happen. And I'm sure colorism doesn't happen to just dark-skinned men or light-skinned men. So I see your point, but at the same time, I can't say that that's out of the question. going back a step further, with regards to like putting on a coat of something honorable through adversity. I think that's a fair way to kind of sum that up. I do note that one of the things that was said, and thinking back through the conversation, there was not many instances where she revealed anything and really said, I felt. A lot of what was said was pretty factual things that, if needed to be gone back and investigated, could be determined. So taking feelings out makes
let me
the
interject
difference.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because the point that I was about to make when I was talking about the whole sign thing and did you see it happen was that you're saying that she didn't mention feelings, she's mentioned fact. My point is that she's treating her feelings as fact.
What feeling did she describe in saying that something was torn down?
It's the feeling that everyone was involved and that everyone disliked her. So everyone had to come together and tear down the name. Also, the feeling of racism. You don't know that person was racist in that moment. You don't know that. You can assume that, and it's not a bad assumption. Like, it's not a bad assumption, but you can't treat that as fact, especially when you have a person that's hosting, by the way, his show. Not he's on your show. You're on his show.
Yeah, I get that.
So like, you got to give his word some weight, right? Like, you got to give him at least the ability to respond. And he gives a different point of view and is dismissed.
Okay, I think what I'm asking or getting at in regards to the teacher example was, can we prove that it was not racism?
No, but you can't prove it was either.
But I guess the proof that it was would be if there was ever any example cited of same individual with the same class having the same response to someone of a different ethnicity. We don't know that. But
that's another point of mine. We don't know. Because we don't ever hear anything before any of these instances. We only hear the moment she's done wrong. Right?
Well,
we don't hear any of the buildup. Like, this person hated me here. This person hated me there. I was kicked out of this party for this reason. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Understandable. So you mean to tell me that before you got to this party that you weren't invited to?
She was invited.
Or that you were invited to, that you end up being uninvited from, that you had no idea that nobody liked you, nobody didn't like you there.
Or it wasn't that's not what happened. It wasn't that nobody at the party didn't like her, because there were people who were at the party trying to advocate for her to be there. What happened was the press, the publicist, or whoever it was that was organizing the event had a problem with her, and she was the one who made an issue and wanted her to leave, to the point to where they had a conversation was set up for them to explain what happened, and the girl said, yeah, I didn't want you there. Okay, well, there's nothing else for you to say. You don't, once she's told a man that she didn't like her, well, there's nothing else for you to say. I don't need to know why you don't like me.
Well, how about this? Let me back away for a bit, and let me ask y'all: do you think she's easy to work with?
Maybe. I don't know that there's been enough to say she's difficult to work with. I think what Rhino said earlier about her being passionate can absolutely rub people the wrong way sometimes, because passionate people can sometimes be overzealous and rub people the wrong way. But I don't know that that makes them difficult to work with. But that's me. I'm a person I tend to take people how they are, where they are, whatever they are. And if it works for me, cool. If it doesn't, I know how to limit my exposure or maneuver around and work the situation enough to where mission can be accomplished without it being a thing.
Well, how about this? What do you see from her? Let me ask it. Do you feel that she's just straight up misunderstood, miscategorized? No. Okay.
I don't think she's misunderstood. I think people absolutely understand what she's saying. I think sometimes people don't like what she's saying, but that's, for me, I feel like this is a matter of, and I think you've said this too, likability. And likability is a funny thing. On the one hand, people work with, people buy from, people do things with people they like.
Right.
But sometimes you have to do things, work with, deal with people you may not like in order to actually accomplish something.
That's true.
And because that's a truth, I don't see where she's like this villain that needs to be persecuted.
Well, I'll say this. I understand that in times of war and famine, but if it's peaceful and the sun is shining and you're hard to work with, why should I work with you? Like, if I can choose between not working with someone that is not likable or finding someone else that is likable, I'm going to choose likable. Like, and why should I force myself to work with someone that is not likable?
Okay, I hear your point, but I would ask you this: which one's going to do the job better, the likable person or the unlikable person? If you get better results with the person that's not likable, you're not going to work with them.
No, because you're not going to get better results with them. Because I can't send you anywhere. Because everyone has a problem with you.
But everyone doesn't have a problem. There are some people.
Go in that party and talk to this person. Oh, I can't go in because such and such don't want me in. Why? Because they don't like me.
That was the person who was putting on the. Okay, in that example of the party, there were people outside the party who were advocating for her to go in. Matter of fact, she even gave her in to the point where the dude got her in, only for her. Oh, you're not supposed to be in here. You got to go. And then but that was the one person who did not like her made this a thing, because there was somebody who invited her there. There was somebody who saw her leaving and brought her back and got her in. So there were absolutely people advocating for her. It wasn't like everybody on the inside was like, no, we don't want her here.
Okay, but then that begs the question: what did she do to this lady that had this power to keep her out of the party? What did she do to get this lady to the point that she is not allowed? I do not want her in here. No, security, Jeff, Tom, Harry, she is not to be in here. Get out of here.
But
what did she do to get that lady to that place?
Exactly.
Well,
that's my point.
We don't know. We don't know, but I guess the point is, what difference does that make?
Because she could be the cause of it.
Right. That's exactly it.
If you show up somewhere covered in soot and smoke, that doesn't necessarily mean that the fire caught you. You may have started the fire.
That's true.
Not trying to
That's a
dismiss what
point.
you're saying, Terrence. You have some valid points, but this question it just has to be answered. What did you do to her? Why does she hate you so much?
So let me
I mean,
ask
this
you,
is
let
a
me
black
ask you.
space. You're a black person.
Go ahead.
Why would they deny you from coming in?
Why would this person deny you from
Now,
coming?
I know if I'm hosting a black space and I'm if there's one person I'm denying to come in, there's a reason I'm not letting him in.
So
Why? He's a
let me
gangbanger.
ask
He
this.
carries a gun on him all the time, and who knows if he's going to go off or not and start shooting up the place. I don't want him in here.
Let me ask this. Real life imaginary scenario. That don't sound right. But real life imaginary scenario. There's an event happening.
Mm-hmm.
You get an invitation, Terrence. You get an invitation, Rhino. You go to that event. Is there anything you could imagine about yourself that would cause you to not get in?
Don't ask me that question.
That's a serious question.
I could totally see somebody not want me in their party. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why?
Because,
Give me a why. Give me a why.
Because I could look, I'm no saint. I could have been a jerk. Actually, I'm not even could have been. I have been a jerk to people.
Okay. But let me ask you this. Overall, begin to end, top to bottom, all the way around, all measurements. What do you think your reputation is?
For the most part, yeah, I think I have a pretty clean, pretty decent reputation. I'm a pretty likable guy.
Like people gonna be like, Terrence pretty cool. Let him in.
Yeah.
Right? And your reputation precedes you and follows you.
Yeah.
Right.
But for some reason, with her
this
reputation
was one event. It was one event. You're trying to qualify this as if everywhere she goes, she has a problem.
Don't she?
No. She listed one event.
Okay. She had a problem. She had a problem when she was a kid at school.
Was that her having a problem when she was a kid at school, or was that her being a kid?
It was a problem that she was around or close to. There was an issue, and her name is close to it.
Like, I guess. I
can
feel
try
like that's
verbally juggle it
however
you want.
I feel like that's two separate things, but okay, go ahead.
Okay. She had a problem with The Real or whatever. What was the show that she was a co-host on?
She was there was an issue with The Real, but I don't think that was an issue there either, because we can only base this off of what was said. And what's been said was none of the co-hosts had a problem with her.
Until she wasn't there no more.
But the co-host
I kind of disagree with that, Terrence. We can't just totally base everything on what she said. There's always another side of the story.
Clearly,
I mean, my ex-girlfriend told me a lot of stuff about her ex, and I was sitting there listening to her, but I'm starkly aware that what's his side of the story. She's telling us things. I'm like, okay, that's nice, but what's his side of the story? I'm gonna need his side of the story before I go ahead and side with you and hate him like you.
I'm not saying that everything she said was just like all, 100% factual, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But at the same time, the same way no person can be right all the time, nobody can be a problem everywhere they go.
Yes, they are. If they're starting it, they can be. It's possible. It's very possible.
Give me an example of somebody being a problem everywhere they've been.
I mean, I'm trying not to say a man to see him. But
Well, I feel like that would be the easy target right now, given the conversation. But like, for real,
mainly because, okay, so you're asking me for a real life example. It's hard.
yeah.
It's hard to give one. You know why? Because you don't stay close to people like that long. You get away from people like that.
Well, if
Now,
their reputation precedes them, their reputation should precede them enough to say, "No, that person's a problem everywhere they go."
yes.
Okay,
And
so then there should be another example.
like you're asking me to name the worst of the worst person that I would purposely not get close to. Like I don't. I'll say this. Like I don't have any names, but I've run into several people like her. I've run.
Look, I
I've
know
run into
somebody
many
very
people.
much so like her.
I don't. I think you. I think you're missing it, man. I think you're missing it
I think
because
I think there's a part of this that we haven't addressed yet. But
no, because I'm about to address. Well, I'm about to address something that might be it right now. Like
okay,
the black woman thing.
not where I was
She's a.
going, but okay.
It's. It may not be where you're going. She's a smart black woman,
Yep,
or she's an educated black woman,
yep.
and what will happen is this is one of those things where she tries to use it as a cloak. She uses that to protect herself because a lot of intelligent black women can identify with being misunderstood, and they can identify with being, not validated as far as not being listened to. And I understand that. I understand it.
Okay,
That's a real thing, but
okay,
it's a real thing, and it happens a lot of the time. But don't.
but not all the time. Is that what you tried to say?
No, what I'm saying is that I don't think this is one of them situations where you don't want to be your sister's keeper. Like you don't want to put your eggs in Amanda Seals' basket. Let me see if I can give. Let me see if I can give another example. Like as a black man, how often are we uh, misconstrued, or we're people think of us as being nothing but uh, sex crazed, right? Make
Okay,
sense?
okay.
You gonna defend P. Diddy?
No.
Do you want to put your eggs in that basket?
No, PJ's kind of on his own, and he's kind of no, your own, bro.
My thing is that
The most I can do is say,
I'm,
"Hey, look, I didn't have any bad experiences with P Diddy."
I'm laughing because I feel like we have gone to the start of this conversation. Worst case scenario.
Back to the bear in the
but
forest.
this is part of my whole point. She's a worst case. She
Okay,
and and
that's okay.
I get narcissist vibes from her. And I don't like to use that word. I don't like to name drop that word at all. But
Okay,
you can tell that she believes fully in her. She's the only player in her story. Everybody else are side characters. If you don't agree with her, you're attacking her. If you stand in her way, she will try to verbally roll over you. And the second you actually expose any type of insecurity, she's gonna cover up and say, "It's not me. It's this, and this."
okay. All right. I'm gonna pin that for a second because I'm gonna go back to where I was going in the conversation.
Okay.
The part that I felt like had not been mentioned yet and I thought you might have been going there, was the subject of her mental health. And you kind of mentioned the autism thing a little bit. And I feel like that component of the conversation is one that probably needs to be addressed. And I can see the wheels turning and the processes happening. And without knowing full diagnosis or where on the spectrum she may fall, I feel like there's a certain amount of validity that has to be given to that. And I'm going to say this because that's kind of a personal thing for me.
What is that?
Having autistic people in my immediate purview, in immediate house, in under this, well, in my immediate household, family member kind of falls in that category. I have a nephew who's on the spectrum. I have been
I do too.
in proximity to multiple people, and they're all, which is why I like the idea of the spectrum, because they're all in varying degrees. But because they're all in varying degrees, it complicates things because everybody kind of has an idea of the spectrum. But I feel like some people's version of the spectrum is this big, and then other people's version of the spectrum is miles and miles apart. And it's like,
Right.
until we have something a little bit more clearly defined, it's hard to really identify and manage what's spectrum related, what's outside the spectrum, what doesn't qualify, what does qualify, and kind of meeting that out. Because in the event of like someone close to me, it not being diagnosed immediately or misdiagnosed altogether in another instance, it can account for a lot more than people realize.
So can I jump in real quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so this goes back to what I was saying before. Okay, like we are aware that she has not been diagnosed, right?
No, she absolutely mentioned having had a diagnosis. She just didn't elaborate on it.
No, she has not been medically diagnosed. She has not actually gone to a doctor or to a psychiatrist, psychologist and been diagnosed. She feels she had. She said that. She actually said that.
Pretty sure she said she had been to a doctor and they haven't put the term on it because it used to be called one thing, but they don't use that term anymore because the name was associated with a Nazi or something. So they haven't put a
Asperger's.
Right. So I wasn't going to try and use the name, but yeah.
Right. But here's the problem is that
what it is.
She said that she was diagnosed and Shannon tried to confirm it and she backed away from it. She has not formally been diagnosed. She has been told by people that she may be, but she has not been diagnosed. And she's even admitted that on her own podcast when she said that it costs $10,000 and maybe 2-3 years to get diagnosed, and no one feels like paying that and going and waiting that amount of time. So this is another instance where her feelings, she feels she's autistic, is being treated as fact. Like she has not been medically, psychologically diagnosed with anything.
I have to listen to this again because I could have sworn she told Shannon there was a diagnosis.
She said it. She said it the first time. He tried to confirm it, and she backed away from it, and she would not confirm it again because he knew he read what she was doing. Like he peeked it out, and he tried to get her to say it, like say that you were diagnosed medically with this thing, and she would do it, and she immediately changed the subject.
What? Okay. Okay.
And
I mean, that doesn't mean she doesn't have it, but she just
It-
hasn't been diagnosed with it. But from
Well,
what I
she
saw in
has
the
it.
interview and from what was said, and considering the symptoms of Asperger's, she very well could have it. She very well could be on the spectrum. But if
And
she is going to lead with that and use it as a badge, she should probably have a medical diagnosis behind it, saying, "Yeah, she does have Asperger's, or she is on the spectrum."
but here's the funny part. I'll even give her that. Let's say that she has the medical diagnosis. Let's say she has a paper that says she has that
diagnosis.
that diagnosis.
Okay.
Out of the autistic people that you've met in your life, how many of them are unlikable?
If you're trying to get me to say I didn't like any of the autistic people I met, then I'm
I'll-
not doing that, bro.
I'm gonna say
But
that's Go ahead.
Let me answer the question for me.
That would be a stretch to say.
I kind of feel like the autistic people I've met in my life, they're more likable than the average person. That's just me. They seem easier to get along. They seem not as bogged down with being in their head and stuff. Like they seem to get along a whole lot easier than other people. And my thing is, okay, let's take her own words. You have a problem reading other people's emotions towards you. Like you can't tell how they feel. At the same time, you know how you are going out. You know the emotions that you are putting out and the effect that you have on people. But you don't want to change that. And you don't want to hear an alternate point of view. You don't want to hear where you could improve. You don't want to hear that it might be 10% your fault. It's like, and here's the problem. Like, I saw it once. Like, I watched the whole thing one time, and it irritated me to death to get through it because it felt like it felt like I'm listening to a 3-hour lie. Right? It felt like I'm listening to a 3-hour lie. Okay. And fellas, y'all, not trying to get too personal. Y'all know what I do for a living, right?
Yeah.
Tech support, but also customer service, right?
Yeah.
I listen to people for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing that for 20 years. And one of the main things that I've learned to do is not just listen to what people say. I can hear real loud what people don't say. I can hear when you're purposely trying to leave stuff out. I can hear when you're purposely trying to curve it to make yourself look innocent and to make yourself look like you're not the bad guy when someone else is the villain. Like, I didn't do it. I didn't break it. I didn't tear this up. No, somebody else did that. I don't know I don't know why everyone doesn't like me. I don't know why this people don't like me over here and they don't like me over there. And this person don't like me over here. And this person who everyone else likes in the world, but they don't like me either. Like, I don't understand how. I don't know.
I didn't hear that.
The simple deduction from that line of think is the problem is you. You're the problem, Seals. That's what the problem is.
I hear that. But what I'm saying I didn't hear that this person doesn't like me, and that person doesn't like me. And that what I heard was this person had a problem with me because I was racist, because they were racist. This person doesn't like me. This person in the music industry had a problem with me because I replaced them even though they had left. And then the other member was going into business for themselves anyway. So they weren't doing anything to promote me because they were going into business for themselves. That didn't sound like a dislike. That just sounded like two people had already had a split and you were thrown into a mix of something that was already bad from the get-go. I'm trying to think of what other situation. The roommate thing. Honestly, I just hear mean girls being mean girls. I can't say any one person was at fault there. I feel like they were all at fault there.
Okay, so
Right.
let me try to give you some perspective on what I perceive when I hear something, right? With her, Issa Rae, and what was the publicist?
Yeah,
Right.
the publicist.
Okay.
Right.
When she found out the publicist didn't like her, right? And she
Right.
mentioned it to Issa Rae. And Issa Rae basically said, you got to go and handle that on your own. Right?
Right.
Basically dodging it. Now, why would Issa Rae not try to bring these two people together?
Because she's the boss and that's not her concern.
Do you think that's the reason why?
Why wouldn't I?
Or why is Issa Rae purposely staying out of it?
Because she's the boss and it's not her concern.
But as the boss, it's in her best interest for them to get along.
Not entirely.
At least civilly. At
Not
least while
really.
they work. How about
the publicist? The publicist and Amanda Seales really didn't have to work together because the publicist works for Issa Rae.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Seales at that time also worked for Issa Rae since they were on the same show.
Right.
But the two of them did not necessarily have to do a whole lot of interacting together. They could have been on set and functioned just fine without really having any interaction with each other. So it didn't have to be that way.
But she also suggested that this same publicist was purposely doing things to hinder her career and her advancement in Hollywood.
After they had their incident and her being saying things about her on set does make a difference. I mean, I think we all remember Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that woman had a hard time working after it got out that she was difficult and yada yada. And
oh yeah, that's a curse in Hollywood.
I don't know that she was.
Well, here's the thing.
Because she
people in the
she
cast
did Will
something to
similar to how she did Will similar to how was Amanda. No, I'm about to say she did Will similar to how Amanda did Shannon after the show. After the show where they buddy and make up, old Aunt Viv trash Will again, in comments and stuff. Right after the show with
after
Shannon,
the reunion.
Yeah, like right after the reunion, went back in on Will. Right?
Did you come away from the reunion feeling like they were cool?
That's what I was under that impression that they had kissed and made up.
I was hoping
Will was like, I was 21 years old. I was young and dumb, and I
felt
thought
like
they were cool. But it didn't escape me that at the end when she was on set with everybody, it didn't escape me that Alfonso Ribeiro was not there. So clearly he has some issues with her and he wasn't ready to. No, that's between you and Will.
There's a whole nother. That's a whole nother couple. You can't get
Well,
along with Alfonso.
what I'm saying is, I didn't necessarily take it as everything was all hunky dory. I thought they were able to be civil. Let's go ahead and make this reunion show happen. And that kind of goes back to that, excuse me, my example of, are you willing to work with the person that's not likable if it's going to get the best result? Because the reunion show could have happened without Aunt Viv, but without the original Aunt Viv. But the reunion show is going to be a lot better if you have the original Aunt Viv. And that's what ended up happening. Likeable or not, we want this to be the best that we can. Look, I'm going to shift the example a little bit to some white people. And probably shouldn't have said it that way, but that was the first thought.
It's all good.
There was a thing on the set of the Avengers movies between Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner. And the majority of the cast did not like Jeremy Renner at one point. Did they immediately recast him? No. Because they knew that this would probably be better if they kept the both of them. Even though we don't like each other, we're going to figure this thing out to make this as best as possible.
Right.
Likability be damned. And this ain't in the war. This ain't in the midst of famine. Everybody's making money. Everybody should be good. Because
they're both good actors, because I didn't pick up any of that.
But okay, so I'm gonna flip your example on you, right? Edward Norton's a great actor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the Hulk?
But he wasn't in anything with the rest of them.
Huh?
He wasn't in any movies with the rest of them. He did that one Hulk movie. He was
supposed to be the Hulk moving forward, but he's notorious difficult to work with. Edward Norton is notoriously difficult to work with.
That Hulk movie is in the MCU.
I know. It's the
Hulk
movie.
That's him. That's the same character.
I get it. It's the second movie in the 30 some odd movies in the MCU. I understand that. But he wasn't entrenched enough, because that Hulk movie was a standalone. He didn't have any scenes with Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, or Scarlett Johansson or anything. He was outside the loop enough to where, okay, we can move you on out the way.
But
Hawkeye was present right there in the midst of the Avengers.
But my point is,
they did not treat him like they did Terrence Howard.
His skill and talent and ability wasn't enough to get over the fact that he was difficult and unlikable. Like, they just replaced him. Like, hey, I like Mark Ruffalo. Bring him in. He's out.
We don't know if that made it any better or not, though, because there's nothing to balance that against.
But like, how long has Mark Ruffalo been
the Hulk? Day, a point came for a couple of years now, and my point is, at the end of the day, I barely remembered that Edward Norton was the Hulk after Mark Ruffalo stepped in.
I think had you seen him in a movie with the rest of the cast, you'd remember him. That's my point.
Probably, but the fact is, we didn't. Mark Ruffalo took over, and it was just easy to forget that Edward Norton never did the role.
Look, you forget that Hulk movie is a part of the MCU, period, because it's so removed.
No, I remember the Hulk, but I remember thinking, this is the greatest Hulk movie ever. This is the Hulk movie that I wanted to see. All that other stuff before with Eric Bana, not that it was bad, but that wasn't it. This is it. And they got Edward Norton. They got Mr. Mr. Fight Club himself, this thing is gonna be a beast.
So here's
And
the funny
it was
part.
memorable. But a point came when I was like, oh yeah, Edward Norton was the Incredible Hulk in that movie, wasn't he?
Here's the funny part, and ladies and gentlemen, we're really going off the rails now. But all of the co-stars and side actors have come along, like Liz Tyler and the dude that plays Abomination and Thunderbolt Ross. All of them came. And Edward Norton just got dropped off.
Was Liz Tyler in any of the later MCU movies?
Yes.
What movie was she in?
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to look it up. But she
I don't remember her being in any other ones. But yeah, we're really off the rails now. So I sorry. We'll bring that back and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, anyway, original topic. I get the likability argument to a point, but at the end of the day, sometimes I feel like, is this about whether we like her, or are you willing to discount her experience because she's not likable? Does that negate her experience and her perception of what's happened because you don't like her?
I mean, me personally, no, because I grew up in the South too. And I know there's been times when I've had the right answer and wasn't allowed to say it because it would seem disrespectful to an adult. And we're supposed to respect our elders, even if they're wrong. I was told that. But I've had no personal run-ins with Amanda Seals.
Right.
But I have walked the path of my life, and I've had experiences where I knew racist things was happening to me, and people would deny that. If I told the story, you can share your alternative perspective if you want. I know just people when I meet them. I absolutely do. And to add insult to injury, it's the fact that, and to bring it full circle to this bear thing, let's not pretend that there aren't toxic women out there.
Oh,
Let's not
absolutely.
pretend that there's women out there that aren't devious and untrustworthy and absolutely dangerous to us. I've known of women that have gotten men killed, and it was their fault, and they took zero responsibility and are not in jail. Not in jail. All because they felt some kind of way. It is what it is. I've had women accuse me of things that I did not do. And I was treated like the enemy all my life. Like the situation, this particular situation that I'm thinking about was never resolved. No one came and asked for my side of the story. They just assumed that I was guilty and treated me like that. So, come on. Everyone has their perspective, but let's not pretend that the other side doesn't exist. That's all I'm saying.
That's a great point. That is a fair point, and I feel like that might be where we should start trying to wind this thing down at a little bit, in the sense that we started the conversation saying that we shouldn't brushstroke all men one way. We shouldn't brushstroke all women one way. So, in the case of Amanda Seals versus public opinion, we shouldn't brushstroke her all one way or all the other way either. Should at least give benefit of the doubt. Innocent until proven guilty, I thought was still a thing around these parts. And that might be the best and most fair way to assess the situation until other sides of the story are told, other perspectives are heard, other things that haven't been brought to light yet come to light. And before I wrap this up, I do always want to extend the conversation to our fans and listeners. This has been a topic of conversation for a little while now, so I'm sure people listening have their thoughts and views on this too. So drop a comment, drop 2, drop 3, drop a couple likes. Those who haven't subscribed yet, go on and subscribe. All of it, because we want to hear what you think. Who knows? Maybe you may enlighten us and add something to the conversation that we haven't thought about yet. These mics are open for a reason. Open to hearing what other people have to say. Open to perspective. Even when we don't agree amongst ourselves. It's the truth. So, on that note, is there anything else on these open mics that need to be expressed before we shut it down?
Shout out to my girl Lily. I hope she's at least taking a look at our podcast. We swapped podcasts earlier this week, and I hope she's taking a look at our stuff. I'm definitely going to take a look at her stuff. Yeah.
Okay. You want to drop the name of Lily's pod while we're at it, or?
I do, but I don't remember. I got it written down somewhere.
Okay, so we'll be sure to
huge L for me.
You're muted, sir.
Link in the description once you see the podcast.
There you go. There you go. We'll drop a link in the comments. There you go. So, on that note, thank y'all for listening. Like, share, subscribe. God bless you. Good night. Deuces.
Peace.
Good night.